The iPhone 16e is a good phone. Is it a great phone? No. Is it a bad phone? No. It is an average phone for average people. And that's the thing a lot of tech reviewers don't understand. A lot of tech reviewers are in their own little bubble where they're focused on the specs. How many of Apple's features does it have? They're more focused on how many features does it have? It doesn't have MagSafe. It doesn't have this. It doesn't have that Apple feature. And honestly, it just comes across as out of touch. Like a lot of the reviews I've seen of the iPhone 16e got it all wrong. This is a replacement for the iPhone SE. It is supposed to be a budget phone. To make a budget phone, you have to cut some features. It's common sense because Apple still has to make a profit on their product. A company that provides a product has to still make profit on that product. I know what you're going to say. They're $1 billion company. They don't need the money. Well, they still have employees to pay. And they still have investors and whatnot that they have to please, right? And what people don't understand is that the average consumer doesn't give a fuck. Like, they really don't. A lot of the people I know who are looking for a budget phone don't care that it doesn't have MagSafe. They just plug their phone into the wall. They plug in the brick, plug the other end into their phone, and done. And hey, it has USB-C. That's the only reason I plan on upgrading, is because my iPhone 14 Pro Max here has a lightning port, and it kind of bothers me that all my other Apple products are USB-C. And once I switch to USB-C, I honestly don't think I'll upgrade for a long time until my phone just starts shitting, right? Like, this iPhone 14 Pro Max still works fine. Not gonna lie. I got it in May of 2023, and it still works great. It was the newer phone. It was the newest Apple phone at the time before the 15s came out a few months later. And I thought that it worked great. And it still works great. And so does the iPhone 16e for most people. They also complain about the price. That's $600. It's more expensive than the SE. And I get it. I do hear the criticism. But at the same time, what average Joe is going to Apple.com and buying the iPhone SE upright? You as the average consumer can't really afford that. I can't. I work a minimum wage job where I make $15 an hour, which is Illinois' minimum wage. I would not be able to afford an iPhone up front. We do this thing called we go into the store of our carrier, in my case, T-Mobile. I go into T-Mobile. I tell them that I want to add a phone to the phone plan. Then I tell them I want to buy one. And then I contract it for 2 years, and you pay it off for 24 months. No average consumer for $600 is going out and just buying an iPhone 16e up front from the Apple website. They get discounts from their carrier or pay in a 24-month contract. And that's why I say a lot of these tech reviewers are out of touch in their understanding of who the 16e is for. They're just focused on buying all those nice, flashy, pro model phones with the best camera system and the best storage options and the best RAM and blah, blah, blah. The average consumer is concerned about, does the phone work? And does the 16e work as a phone? Yes. Does it have good battery life? Indeed it does. Can it get me through the day without dying? Yes. For the most part, yeah, I would say so. Unless you're doing some really crazy tasks and you're on your phone all 24 hours of the day, then maybe not. But most people who are your average Joe working a job, this is going to get you through the whole day. Or I hear something like, oh, it doesn't have that fancy display that the pro models have. So, again, the average consumer doesn't care. All the average consumer cares about is that they have a battery that can last them most of the day. They can browse most of their apps, go on social media, watch YouTube videos, respond to messages, and make phone calls and return phone calls and talk on the phone. That's it. That's literally what I use my phone for. I have a Pro Max, a 14 Pro Max, and honestly, it's overkill. The thing is overpowered, not gonna lie. I really don't need this nice of a phone. I don't need the 3 cameras. I barely use the full functionality of the cameras on this thing. I got it because I thought I needed the best of the best phone, and honestly, I really didn't. The only thing that I actually did to this phone that I'm happy I did is that I bought the 512 gigabyte model and basically fully spec'd out the phone because it does future-proof my phone. So in case I need it, let's say I upgrade to the 17, but still need a backup phone in case I don't know, drop it or something. I have a phone that still works and is backed up. It doesn't make sense why everyone is complaining. I get 512 gigs to future-proof my phone, but no one cares. The 16E is an average phone for average people. And I wish that tech reviewers would start making sense of that. Some do, especially smaller YouTubers, but if you see a lot of the tech reviewers with millions of subscribers, they're so out of touch. They've let the money they make off their videos cloud their judgment on what a good product actually looks like because they only care about the best of the best that Apple's putting out that'll work for their use cases, not the average person. They are out of touch with the average consumer and why they buy a product, whether it's buying an iPhone, buying an iPad, buying a Mac. I make YouTube videos. I want to do this more professionally, but my iPad 10th generation gets me by just fine. That's what I'm using to film this video. It's what I'm using to edit. I edit on Adobe Premiere on my iPad 10. And I've had a lot of tech-obsessed people tell me, you shouldn't use the iPad 10. It's not like the iPad Air or the iPad Pro. You're not going to get all these Apple Intelligence features. Bruh, who even uses Apple Intelligence? It kind of sucks. Image Playground is really the only big feature it has, and even that isn't as good as the ChatGPT image generator or any other competitor app out there to ChatGPT. I literally rank Image Playground at practically the bottom of AI image generators. And we just don't even have most of the features we were promised. We don't have the smart Siri. Oh, Siri was integrated into ChatGPT. You guys, I can just download the ChatGPT app and do my query that way? Please tell me in the comments if you're actually using Siri for your ChatGPT responses. I would be genuinely surprised. I will admit I'm wrong if you actually tell me that you use Siri for your ChatGPT responses. I mean, I have an iPad mini A17 Pro, which was my only device that is capable of Apple Intelligence, and I barely ever even use it. I've opened Image Playground once or twice to play around with it. I don't actually genuinely use it for my creative ventures like it was intended. If I'm using AI for something, sometimes it's to help write my scripts for my videos because I am visually impaired and have the worst writing style imaginable. And I type my ideas into ChatGPT and they help me come up with a script, and I also modify the script so that it becomes personalized to me so that it doesn't sound like something ChatGPT wrote. Guess what? It works fine, and it works on my iPad 10, which my iPad 10 doesn't have Apple Intelligence. So even if I wanted to use ChatGPT with Siri to help me modify my scripts, wouldn't work anyway, but that's perfectly fine. It shows that Apple Intelligence could run on the iPad 10, but they choose for it not to. They made Apple Intelligence overpowered on purpose so that you would buy their more higher end products, which is stupid, and most people won't do that. Except for the rich tech reviewers and above middle class people who care about having the best of the best product. My iPad 10 with 256 gigs gets me by just fine for everyday tasks, from making my YouTube videos to streaming stuff to watching YouTube to FaceTiming with my friends and my therapist. Look, the 16E is great, and I think everyone needs to stop complaining. So my best advice to you If you're looking for a budget phone, don't feel pressured to buy one of the Pro models because some tech reviewer told you that you need the best of the best.